History, Grade 6, Quarter 1. From 1708 to 1829, the world was riddled with revolutions, great artists, great thinkers, and many wars. Today, I will talk about the events, ideas, and people in this time. Two famous musicians from this era were from Germany. They were Johann Sebastian Bach and George Friedrich Handel. They both played amazing music and they both believed in God. But over in the New World, the 13 colonies had now been fully established. Starting with Virginia in 1607, the British colonies spread to Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, Maryland, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Delaware, North Carolina, New Jersey, South Carolina, and Pennsylvania, with Georgia being the last made in 1732. In those colonies, Jonathan Edwards and George Whitefield preached the gospel and influenced the Great Awakening from 1734 to 1760. However, in 1756, the 7 Years' War began between Prussia and Austria over a piece of land named Silesia. It spread, becoming Prussia, Britain, and Hanover against Austria, France, Russia, Saxony, and Spain. It was one of the first wars that was really around the world. This led to the French and Indian War, with the French and Native Americans against the British, but the British won. After the war, two French thinkers, Voltaire and Jean-Jacques Rousseau, led the Enlightenment of Europe. Another great thinker was Benjamin Franklin over in America, and he invented the lightning rod in 1752. A decade later, Sophia Augusta Frederica, now known as Catherine the Great, took over Russia, pushing the Turks out of Ukraine. However, she also brutally squashed peasant uprisings. Then came the American Revolution from 1756 to 1783. After being taxed heavily, the 13 colonies rebelled against their British overlords. After many battles, the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution, the United States of America was created. In Salzburg, Austria in 1756, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was born, and he became one of the best musicians in the world. Then, around 3 decades later, the French, inspired by the Americans, started a revolution. After a guillotine caused the Reign of Terror, Napoleon took over. Napoleon then managed to beat most of Europe, but began to lose more and more following 1805. Meanwhile, Meriwether Lewis, William Clark, and Sacagawea were exploring west after Napoleon sold the Louisiana Territory. A year after a final expedition by Zebulon Pike ended, a man named William Wilberforce was finally allowed to stop slavery in the British Empire. In 1770, another famous musician was born in Germany, Ludwig van Beethoven. 2 years after he released Beethoven's Fifth, on the other side of the world in Mexico, a revolution was brewing. Miguel Hidalgo led the beginning of the revolution against Spain, and even though he was killed, Mexico gained independence. While this revolution was happening, another war began to the north between America and Britain, known as the War of 1812. A few months after it ended, Napoleon was defeated and sent to an island known as Elba, but he escaped and took over France. However, after a final defeat at the Battle of Waterloo, he was sent to St. Helena, where he died. Finally, 2 revolutions occurred. One was against Spain, as Simon Bolivar liberated Chile, Argentina, Bolivia, Peru, and Grand Colombia. The other was the independence of the Greeks, led by Alexander Ypsilanti against the Ottoman Empire. So, these years were a turbulent time, riddled with wars, destruction, and misery, but also independence, hope, and new ideas. So, just like all history, it wasn't all bad. Thanks for watching!